What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jemiah's World Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about Russell Wilson, the Chargers and the Broncos. Justin Herbert wasn't, as good also. But we all know what's going on with that situation. We're going to take a look at some of the things that's surrounding Week 6, Monday Night Football 2022 of the NFL season. It finishes up everything for the week. It's been a really unfamiliar territory for me as somebody that's watched the NFL for a very long time. It's like we're living in the Twilight Zone. It's an absolute joke. With the way that these things are going on. But we're going to take a look at some of the key factors that happened in the game. All right. So look, Wilson injures his hamstring in the loss, right? So Russell Wilson is now, he has an injury. On top of him being trash, now he's injured. I do believe he's the worst quarterback in the NFL just because of the fact that he was signed for so much money and he's become pretty much a lemon. You go to a dealership, you get a car, it looks like everything is good, everything's working well. You drive out and then you realize that the car is complete trash and it sucks. The Denver Broncos received the lemon in Russell Wilson. Now, this is the thing, right? We don't know if he'll end up turning into even a glimpse of what we once saw, because now that I'm thinking about it, it's sort of like the Russell Westbrook thing. We saw this guy breaking all these triple double records, and we were like, oh my goodness, this player is so good. And then now we're seeing that he's terrible. And it's like, how does that make any sense? How does a guy that was able to break all those records and do all those things, how is he this terrible? And that's just the way it goes. It's based on perception. When we're seeing something and we're ignoring other parts, we can make something as great as we want it to be in our minds. The mind is so unbelievably powerful. And in this situation right now, we are starting to see that this is very, very unfortunate for the Denver Broncos, because we're going to talk about the defense and the way that they're playing. And if they just had somebody that can do anything, it would be an unbelievable time for this team, but it's just not working out for them. It's just not a situation where we're seeing any type of offensive, progress with the team. And he has pretty good receivers for the most part. Maybe these guys are not as good as we thought. Maybe Sutton, Judy, all these guys, maybe they're not as good. I don't know. But it seems to be a problem that this guy Russell Wilson is going out there and just being absolutely trash. All right, so we're going to talk about the fact that Dustin Hopkins was able to come back after he had a hamstring injury also, and then, was able to go ahead and win an OT with 19-16. Let me just point this out, again, though. With fantasy football, a lot of the things that are going on, as far as like the Chargers and, the Justin Herbert bet, where they said that it was like, what did they move from minus 800 to plus 100, that he would throw a touchdown or something like that? It's a lot going on this year in the NFL, and I don't know, how that affected everybody. I didn't take that bet personally, but I know it was very appealing because, obviously, Justin Herbert has thrown a touchdown in I think most of his games, if not probably all of them, with the exception of maybe one. So not only that was going on, but we were watching a complete disgusting football game. It was sort of like one of the Amazon Prime games that was going on. But getting back to the whole premise of this, it was just so much going on in my head watching this game. I do believe that, Russell Wilson right now is the worst quarterback just on the premise of being paid that much money and duping the fans into thinking that you were good. And also, you should fire the coach. I want to say that as well, because he had to have something to do with the the extension of Russell Wilson's contract, because it's based on what he saw, right, in preseason when this broke. He must have been doing something that was really good, unless they were just having, nightmares about the previous guy before Russell Wilson got there. Russell Wilson has not been cooking anything. He's like, yo, let's ride. And he's riding these dudes into a hellfire. So there's a lot going on with the squad. But like I said, Dustin Hopkins was able to come back and, handle his business. I want to go ahead and take a look at a specific part of what was going on, all right? We had a specific sighting of Russell Wilson during this game when he ripped the bullet to Jerry Jeudy down the right sideline for 37 yards on a 3rd and 13, right? That one play is not enough, bro, for people to say that it's a vintage Russell Wilson. Because if you really think about it, Russell Wilson was never really that dominant. It was usually a good Seattle Seahawks defense that really made him what he became. And then once the Legion of Boom got old and injured and they left, I think a lot of other things surrounding it started to make him, I guess he had a lot more freedom with Pete Carroll, because that was one of the things that Pete Carroll stood for. He wanted his players to, to be themselves and to stand out and to do stuff like that. And I just believe that Russell Wilson just became an improviser, and it just worked out. Because the more that I look at him play, I look back at some of the great plays that he had, and I'm like, he pretty much played with an O-line that sucked for so long that he had no choice but to utilize his skills to move around. And now the O-line is a little bit like, it still sucks, but it's a little bit better. But they have a whole different format of the way they want to use him. And what happens is, like the old cliche and the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's pretty much in a situation where they don't want him doing those things. So he doesn't know what to do. You know, he's doing a lot of things that he's not used to. And then you accompany that with the fact that every week that he loses, there's another situation where it's like, oh my God, you know, we don't know what he, you know, let's try this. Let's try that. Oh, you're injured now. So every week he's injured. You know, he has this whole driving thing about his injuries and stuff. So no matter what goes on, he can always fall back on the fact that, yo, I didn't have a shoulder that game. Oh, or my knee, I left my kneecap at home. Or, you know, my foot was off. Like, bro, the guy is a trash can walking around. And we just have to understand, it's been how many games they've played? What are they, 2-4? Let's go back up to the top there. I think they're 2-4 now. So we've seen enough of Russell Wilson to know that he's a lemon. He's definitely a lemon. Now, I'm going to let you guys know this. Patrick Surtain has been consistently taking away the #1 receiver of every team that they've played thus far. This is not fair to the Denver Broncos defense, and this is what bothers me a lot, because now you can't really bench Russell Wilson because he's making so much money. Same thing with Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush. Dak was ready to play last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, but they said, you know what, Cooper, you're playing so well, go ahead. And that's what happened. When the money's involved, they want the players to play, and that's what the issue is. Everybody suffers. You know, the fans suffer, the management suffers, and people get fired, which I believe, Hackett is about to get fired. He's definitely going to get fired soon. I don't think that he lasts through this season. I think he's made a lot of mistakes starting with week 1, and he deserves a lot of the blame as well. And they should figure out how they're going to get from underneath Russell Wilson's contract, because you know, he's not going to be the guy going forward. But the defense have, you know, locking down Mike Williams the entire game, a guy that is a big receiver with a wide span and just being all over him the entire time, is probably primarily the reason why Justin Herbert looked average, because he couldn't even look his way. Patrick Surtain is a savage out there. And it's like, are you serious? And again, it was a very, very slow pace and poor game. You know, the Chargers are going to have to do a lot better if they're having struggles like that to actually win those games. But again, like I said, you have a lot of players on your team where you should be able to make a little bit more plays. I thought that the Chargers would be able to still, even with Patrick Surtain taking away a top receiver, that Herbert will be able to make better plays. He made some really bad decisions, and he overthrew a lot of passes as well. So it wasn't like he was having the greatest day also. But at the end of the day, I think it's more about Russell Wilson, because obviously Herbert is a lot younger. He's going to have time to continue to mature. We've already seen a full, career for the most part of Russell Wilson. And I just believe that it's a very, very unfortunate situation. And they're going to have to figure it out. And the Broncos fans, I don't know what to even say to you guys, because that game was horrendous. Like I said, it was like an Amazon Prime game. It absolutely sucked. But we watched it because we're football idiots. So we watched it, bro. And I'm the biggest one. I'm the biggest idiot of them all. I watched it, and I'm looking at it like, this guy, Russell Wilson, is the worst quarterback in the NFL. I said that like 6-7 times. So at this point right now, although the Chargers are 4-2, they're a very, very sad 4-2. We're going to have to see how that works out. But obviously we know the Broncos, I do predict that Hackett will be fired by the end of the season, if not during the season. And they're going to have to figure out how to revamp what's going on with this Russell Wilson situation, because I don't think it gets any better. I want to thank you guys and girls for watching. Hopefully you have an unbelievable and great day. Until next time, one love, y'all.